The very fact that he hasn't done that after that publication in December is actually indicative of the success, or rather the potency of our response. But talking about the substance, if I had bribed a judge, and as we had pointed out to him, there is a statutory definition of bribery, and we referred him to the legislation on it, and we said, can you go ahead and prove that we had bribed a judge? We didn't bribe a judge. Second, if we had bribed a judge, and this was a matter that the EFCC was handling, I don't expect that I would still be walking free today. And if he himself had the facts, or any other person had the facts, it's easy. Assuming that the agency of government, EFCC, refused to prosecute me, they could have obtained a fiat to go ahead and prosecute me. But nothing like that happened.
Let's delve deeper into your campaign manifesto, because I saw something online. I'm particularly interested in your programs for the young lawyers. Would you say that the average, well, I think from what I read, it's obvious that the average Nigerian young lawyer is not satisfied with the state of the legal profession, especially with their remuneration. So what can they look forward to if you become president of the NBA?
Well, what we have indicated in the manifesto, which is something that, I don't know whether you have access to the other one, the reflections that we have been publishing and we've been sending out to lawyers. Maybe you don't, I would send that to you. I would send those ones also to you. But you see, the problem of the welfare of young lawyers, it's a challenge that does not lend itself to a one-size-fits-all resolution. It is something that you have to look at different things on how to sort the problem out, or how to ameliorate that problem. And what I have done is I have looked at the causative factors. Because if you look at the causative factors of a problem, that's when you get to the root of it and you help in sorting it out. And I had identified about 4 or so issues that are material and that cause this problem. In the first place, actually the legal markets is shrinking. And it's shrinking because some people who are not lawyers are encroaching into the legal field.
And taking the jobs
and taking the jobs away from lawyers. The second one, of course, which is related to that first one, is that government itself is not helping. They allow, or they take some of the legal jobs and they give it to foreign firms and foreign lawyers. And sometimes they give the untenable excuse that some of these assignments, they are not, they are novel, and Nigerian lawyers are not very good at it. They haven't experienced it, and therefore they require foreign expertise. That's a second challenge. Then, of course, there is a third challenge that I can see. Lawyers generally, they're not very good in managing finance. They're not even good in keeping records of accounts. And because they have that deficiency, they are not very good in managing their business in a way that is sustainable and in a way that they can take care of their liabilities and their obligations, which includes having to pay juniors well. That's a third problem. Now there's a fourth problem. People also claim that, or at least the junior lawyers believe that a lot of the senior lawyers are simply selfish and greedy and do not understand.
They don't care about
yes,
them.
They don't particularly care about them. Now, starting from that last bit, my position has been that, one, people need education. They need to understand that when you take care of the juniors, then the likelihood is that, one, the juniors are going to take care of you, the firm itself is going to prosper, and everybody is going to benefit. And I have also in that regard pointed out that really it makes a lot of sense that the person who puts himself out and wants to lead the Nigerian Bar Association should be somebody who leads by example. In other words, he needs to have a record of having juniors and taking care of his juniors. Yes. And in all modesty, I have that record. And in my firm currently, we have over 40 lawyers, and they've never had to collect their salaries the next month. They always collect it as a when due. and we take care of all other things. For example, practice fees, they never have to pay it for themselves. We pay for them. And the testimonies on this regard, they are in the public space right now. So
I've read a few.
Good, thank you. Now, the essence of that is it places you on a moral position to be able to speak to your colleagues and to convince them and to urge them that it makes sense having to take care of the juniors and that the firm prospers in that process. And that in some ways takes care of that problem about greed. You can't legislate against greed, you can't legislate against selfishness, but you can lead by example, and you can also, through moral suasion, urge people to change. And truly, some people will change if they see your example.
Interesting. Why are you not honoring the Eastern Bar Forum adoption process?
Okay, I need to give you a little bit of a background on Eastern Bar Forum. Eastern Bar Forum, as you must know, is not an organ of the NBA. It is not even recognized by the NBA Constitution. Eastern Bar Forum is simply a voluntary grouping of lawyers who are indigenous to the Eastern Zone as defined by the NBA.
Where the presidency has now been zoned.
Yes, where it's been zoned. Now, the presidency has been zoned to the Eastern Zone, not to the EBF.
Okay.
Which means that any lawyer from the Eastern Zone can run, of course. And I come from the Eastern Zone. I am not a member of the EBF, and I am not bound by their constitution or their unwritten codes or their unwritten principles. That is one. That is one of the issues that perhaps you need to understand as far as the EBF is concerned. But there are a couple other issues that you need to understand. What the EBF attempts to do is really to limit the choices for every other zone. And that by itself is anti-democratic, and it's not something that lawyers should promote. We're not talking about a political party. We're talking about a professional body. And for a professional body, what I believe should be more important is competence, skill, exposure, who knows what needs to be done as far as that office is concerned.